Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and this is my review of Weird, the Al Yankovic story, which is currently only a Roku exclusive. It's nowhere else. It did appear at film festivals, so some people did actually get to sit in a theater and watch this with other people, and it got actually really great feedback. So it's kind of interesting that it's just now on Roku, and we're going to talk about why. I'm a blind film critic, so this film does not have audio description, and I did make the effort, and I reached out to Roku, and I asked whether or not they would be providing audio description shortly. I didn't want to just assume that they were not going the audio description route with this film. It's their biggest release by far to date of anything that they've done. Most of their original TV content is just shows that they picked up when Quibi fell apart. And the last thing was Heathers the Musical, which did not really surprise me. It didn't have audio description since it was just a taped recording of a staged version. It wasn't actually like they shot Heathers the Musical like from scratch. They didn't create like a new version of it. They just stuck a camera in the back of an auditorium. Anyway, never mind. But I remember watching Heathers at the time and thinking, this is problematic that this doesn't have audio description, because I think Weird is the next thing that they plan on doing. And this is not great. So lo and behold, Weird releases. It has no audio description. I have to review movies as is. And that's exactly what I told Roku. I said, I just wanted to make sure, because I have to publish a review of this and I have to review the movie as is. And I'm willing to wait if you're telling me, oh, whoops, we made a mistake. There is an audio description track. Let's fix that glitch in the Matrix. That's not the case. I was told that it is not available at launch, but should be available at a later date. That is the most vague answer. Should be, first of all. Not guaranteed to be. Should be. Possibly. Probably. Hopefully. Those are not committing answers. Those are not saying, yes, we are working on an audio track and we plan to have it up within the next month. Or, yes, we are doing this and it is coming by the end of the year. Nothing like that. Should be available at a later date. Can't even give you the date. You know what is the later date? 2028. 2028 is a later date. Should blind people have to wait till 2028 to see Weird Al with audio description? Probably no. Probably not. I think by 2028, if Roku slid audio description in there for Weird, I don't think anybody would notice. So, not a great answer. Not a great look from a company that has no audio description to try to be breaking into. As I responded and let them know that other streaming services do actually release films day and date with audio description. Just, as a tidbit of information, if they feel like actually competing on any sort of level with anything, ever. So this is Weird without audio description. I actually grew up a lot with Al Yankovic and his music. You can look at me and go, yeah, that tracks. He looks about the age. I remember Gangster's Paradise when that came out. That was kind of the big moment for me, anyway, of discovering Weird Al and going back through and listening to his other material. I did own, actually, I think it was a Weird Al cassette at the time. I don't even think it was a CD. I think I had a cassette of Weird Al songs. I think I bought one of his albums. So, this was a nice journey for me. No, I've never seen him live or anything like that, but this was a fun journey. To be honest, it's just a lot of the gags. You can tell that you're missing things without audio description. The story is basically set up and structured in the same way that you would expect a Weird Al biopic to be. This is a man who spent his entire life parodying songs. He didn't just write his own music, he parodied music. And that's what made him famous. So it should not be surprising to you that he is doing a parody of a biopic, because that's largely what this is. This is very much Walk Hard, but without the direct reference. See, Walk Hard came, after Walk the Line. So it was almost directly shaping itself after a specific film, in terms of look, in terms of who Dewey Cox was representational of. And it was using a lot of tropes from other movies released around that same time period, like Ray. That's what made Walk Hard work. It wasn't doing biopic as a genre. It was doing this as a specific time period. So what Weird does is it just kind of takes the normal biopic conventions and amplifies them to hilarity. So certain moments that you see time and time again are just sort of made funnier, intentionally so. He says this is that this is like the true story of his life. And maybe to some extent it is. Maybe this is just the exaggerated, like how looking through a kaleidoscope, technically you are looking at something, you're just looking at it through a kaleidoscope. You're just looking at it through something that changes the way that you look at it. So right at the beginning, you have, a father who is like really against his son being a musician. Al wants to be a music artist, and the dad is like, no, you're going to work at the factory. The factory is going to make a man out of you. Later on, there's like a really funny reference where he's like, I don't even know what you make at the factory. You just go to the factory. And the dad's like, you're going to find out what we make at the factory when you go to the factory. So it has that kind of dialogue to it, like back and forth, where it's hitting the normal beats that a biopic would hit, but it's doing so in a very humorous way. There are times, though, where you can tell, like, there's just sort of music playing, and the hilarity is supposed to be in the physicality. The way something is happening is supposed to be funny, too, because that's the comedy also. I remember there's a scene that's played very straight, where Weird Al and played by Daniel Radcliffe, who does a very good job. Actually, I didn't hear his accent at all. I was like, wow, this is some solid work from Daniel Radcliffe, because I've heard his American accent and some other things, and I've always heard Daniel Radcliffe. He actually kind of sounds like Weird Al, like he's actually doing a little bit more with his voice, and I thought that was really cool. But he's with Evan Rachel Wood, who's playing Madonna, and the two are doing something. They're doing something. It is TV-14, so I'm assuming they're not going nuts totally. But you can hear them just sort of like moaning, and it just sounds like they're like heavily making out, or I couldn't really quite tell what was going on. But the publicist just keeps trying to talk to him about these potential gigs. And, like, Al just can't be bothered, and he just stops. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. And he just goes back to doing whatever he's doing with Madonna. But the problem is I don't know what he's doing with Madonna. It just sounds to me. So my mind wanders anywhere. My mind is reminded that it's a TV-14 and not a TVMA. So I don't think Daniel Radcliffe and Evan Rachel Wood are going, full blonde. But as far as in that scene, I really had no context or point of reference. And there are many scenes like that throughout the film where you feel like you're missing the sight gag. And that's what is unfortunate about Roku not understanding why blind and visually impaired people would need audio description on this film. Yes, it's funny, and it's funny enough that I'm not going to stop you. But I would say that you're going to feel like you're missing something. Like you're not in on the joke fully. Like you kind of got some of the joke. Sort of like we've learned a foreign language And so we understand some jokes. We're like, I get why that's funny. Oh, what? He's using a new word. I don't know what word that is. And other people are laughing. Am I supposed to be laughing? you know? Um, yeah, that's a little bit what this is. I have a feeling that if I had seen this in a movie theater with other people, there would have been scenes where they were laughing and I was not, because I couldn't pick up on the joke because I didn't get the visual cue. I also would tell you, because you can't really spoil this film. It's just kind of a biopic. This is not a film with like a twist ending where at the end of the film, Al kills and murders people. He doesn't become like Michael Myers or something, like it's not a film. So there's no way to spoil this film. It follows his life. It's a biopic. You're not supposed to be able to spoil biopics. I shouldn't have to be like, ooh, spoiler warning. It's his life. I don't know what else to tell you about that, but I would go on the internet. If you don't know where to go, I would suggest going on imdb.com and actually looking up the cast, because you're gonna miss a lot of cameos, and so knowing either right before or right after, but not knowing those cameos, because there's no audio description to read the credits for you either. You might be pretty good at picking up voices. Like I picked up Rainn Wilson's voice because, I mean, who didn't watch The Office? Who doesn't know that's Dwight, like, so yeah, okay. So I found Rainn Wilson, but some of the others I actually didn't find. I didn't find their voices, and I was like, oh, okay. But there's quite a substantial list of cameos here, so I would look that up. One of them is obviously Weird Al, who also serves as a writer on this. The director of this film basically has only done TV. I mean, he's done a lot of TV, like a lot of TV. He's if you watch TV at all, he's probably directed an episode of one of your favorite sitcoms, and he dates all the way back to where he was doing Funny or Die stuff. So I totally understand why they chose him for this, even though this is basically his feature directorial debut. From what I could tell anyway, there were a couple things on there I didn't bother to click on every single thing on his list. This dude has a resume, but he has a resume where I could tell just at a glance, I recognized 90% of the titles on there as being TV shows. And right around the same time, he starts picking up Funny or Die sketches. There were a couple things that I didn't quite recognize the name to. I just kind of chalked them up as being Funny or Die sketches. It's possible this may not be his feature directorial. Maybe he did like one other thing back in the past, but he has a lot of credits. Anyway, so I thought this is a well-made movie. It has the kind of score that you would expect for like if this was like a heartwarming biopic. So it chooses a contrasting score, not something that's meant to make you laugh, but it's something that you would find if this was supposed to be taken seriously. So that was nice. But like I said, there are moments where you just don't get the joke. Some of it I picked up on it just because of how it was happening. But other times I definitely felt left out in the dark, which is where I live. So thanks, Roku, for dropping the ball on what could have been your moment to step up and attract a blind and visually impaired audience to your works, to give Weird a wider audience. But unfortunately, that's not what happened here. So, like I said, I have to review the film as is, and because of that, I feel like I missed some jokes. I would be interested in seeing this film later on with audio description because I did like it, but there were too many times where I didn't get it. I didn't get the joke. I thought things were happening that I couldn't pick up on just what it was, and that kind of unease and feeling is not something I really love. So it's really hard for me to outright recommend. Like I said, the film is very good. I have a feeling I would have given this film a much higher score. So, all of that being said, I'm going to give Weird a B. I think that score would have pulled higher if it had. It would have pulled higher if it had audio description easily. I'm sure of it. I was laughing quite a bit, but unfortunately, there were also times where I was like, "What's going on? What is that? I don't understand. I don't get it." So I can't give it higher than that. That's as high as I can go. We gotta have audio description, guys. I don't know what else to tell Hollywood, but you do better. Do better, Roku. You have the money to pay for that audio description for this film. So, anyway, thanks for checking out my review. I hope you liked what I have to say. I continue to review films with audio description with a focus for my blind and visually impaired community. Obviously, sighted people can get a lot out of that too. So hopefully you'll subscribe. I am trying to get to 100 by the end of the year. I think that would be great to be a triple-digit YouTuber. So please subscribe. I also have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the adna.org. That's the adna.org. It'll let you know who's describing what for films that actually have audio description, not weird. That's it for me today. Thank you for checking this review out. I got to go review something else that actually has audio description, and I will see you on the other side.